And now, in our second and final segment of this program, Lara Taylor-Pearce and Tamba Momoh were suspended in November 2021 on allegations of professional misconduct and breach of confidentiality after the Office of the Auditor General and their investigations into corruption, including double-dipping by the President's office, contacted a hotel in Lebanon where the President had stayed to confirm the authenticity of a receipt that was submitted for audit. After their suspension, the President set up a tribunal led by retired Justice of the Supreme Court, Justice Nyao Maturi Jones, and later reports was presented to the President by the tribunal. The President called for the sacking of both, and now the report is in Parliament for debate. So this morning, to discuss the controversies surrounding the reports of the tribunal, we have in the studios Dr. Sylvia Blyden, who is a good governance campaigner. And similarly so, we have also extended invite to Lara Taylor-Pearce and her deputy, Tamba Momoh. And we've also shared with them the Zoom link, just so that they could be part of the program as we proceed. But good morning, Dr. Sylvia Blyden. It's a pleasure having you in the studios this morning.
It's a pleasure being here. It's always a pleasure being at AYV. Good morning. Good morning to the viewers as well.
Good morning. It's time we take a short piece that was put together by Sheikh Mohammed Silla as it relates to the aforesaid issue, the tribunal reports. Let's take a look, and then when we come back, we shall continue with the rest of the conversation.
On the 11th of November 2021, Sierra Leone was embroiled in legal and constitutional dispute following President Julius Maada Bio's suspension of the country's Auditor General, Ms. Lara Taylor-Pearce, and her deputy, Tamba Momoh. The decision, which came just weeks before the Auditor General was due to present her audit report on the government's financial stewardship for 2020, raised eyebrows and sparkled widespread debate. Many question the timing and the motive behind President's decision. The government, however, urged the establishment of a special tribunal by the Attorney General to investigate allegations of procurement irregularities, conflicts of interest, and professional misconduct involving Ms. Taylor-Pearce and her deputy. Among the allegations, the former Auditor General was accused of violating the Financial Management Act of 2016, the Fiscal Management and Responsibility Act of 2017, and the National Public Procurement Act of 2016. It was claimed that the recruitment of private audit firms by the Supreme Audit Authority had not followed proper procurement rules. Additionally, her initial refusal to comply with a legal opinion from the Solicitor General to set up a single treasury account for the payment of audit fees drew strong opposition from the Ministry of Finance, prompting an intervention by the Speaker of Parliament. Tamba Momoh, the former Deputy Auditor General, was also implicated with allegations that he served on several boards of directors for government or government-assisted secondary schools, which were under the audit mandate of Audit Service Sierra Leone. These, according to critics, constituted a conflict of interest. On the 8th of November 2021, the Attorney General's office wrote to the Chief Justice, citing Section 137, Sub 5 of the Constitution of Sierra Leone, which they claimed provided grounds for the suspension of Ms. Lara Taylor-Pearce and her deputy, Tamba Momoh. The letter requested the Judicial and Legal Service Commission to establish a tribunal to investigate the operations of the Audit Service Sierra Leone, particularly scrutinizing the performance of the Auditor General. Responding to her suspension, Ms. Taylor-Pearce stated, "I have not been told what the remit of this tribunal or what wrongdoing we are supposed to have committed. Neither have we been told who the members of the tribunal are or will be. I should state that Audit Service Sierra Leone has always maintained the highest standards at all times, and we deny any wrongdoing in the exercise of our mandate. At all times, we have upheld international best standards. I remain ready to cooperate with any tribunal guide by my legal representative and to defend my reputation anywhere, anytime. Several civil society organizations condemned the suspension, urging that they violated the Gender Equity and Women's Empowerment GW Act and called on President Julius Maada to ensure a fair and independent investigation. A tribunal was subsequently established, headed by retired Supreme Court Judge Nyao Finde Maturi Jones, alongside a sitting Court of Appeal judge and a lawyer. It took nearly 2 years for the tribunal to conclude its investigation and present its reports to the President in July 2024. Following the presentation of the tribunal's finding, the Office of the President announced its intention to review the report and act accordingly. On the 9th of July 2024, a statement from State House revealed that President Biu had accepted all the tribunal's recommendations, including the removal of Ms. Taylor-Pearce and Mr. Momoh, directing the Attorney General and Minister of Justice to initiate the necessary procedures for their removal. However, Sierra Leone's Director of Public Prosecution, Usman Kano, clarified that only the country's parliament has the authority to decide on the removal of the former Auditor General, not the President. The authority given to the tribunal was to consider the allegations against the Auditor General and her deputy. When the tribunal makes a judgment, it has the force of a high court, but the tribunal, in actually reaching the decision, sometimes takes longer because it is an inquiry process. In fact, it is only Parliament that can decide on her removal, Mr. Kanu said. The growing criticism over the government's refusal to provide Ms. Lara Taylor-Pearce with a copy of the tribunal's report, she issued a press release between late August to early September 2024, disputing several points raised in the report. She argued that the audit of donor funds financial management, as mentioned in the tribunal report, could not have been stopped because it was not within the audit scope of Audit Service Leone. She clarified that these donor funds were not part of the consolidated revenue funds, nor were they subject to an agreement between the donors and Audit Service Leone for auditing. Reaffirming her commitment to professionalism and standards, Ms. Taylor-Pearce said, "Let me reiterate that for me and the staff I led, our work has never been about personalities, but about the professionalism and standard in doing our job. As a public servant, my role is to live up to the oath I took on being appointed, and I'm satisfied that I have done so at all times." The saga surrounding Sierra Leone's audit service and its leadership has underscored deep divisions over governance and transparency in the country, with both local and international observers closely monitoring the unfolding development. Shiku Mohammed Sile, AYV News, Freetown.
Indeed, many thanks to Sheikh Mohammed Sila for that report. Once again, welcome, Dr. Blyden. I think we've all listened keenly from that report. But first off, help the public understand, share with the public your understanding of the controversies surrounding the Auditor General's report and the tribunal, and now what's ongoing in Parliament.
Okay. Before I do that, I want to make it very clear in what capacity I am here so we don't get people confused. So I wrote down the capacity in which I am here, and I would want to just let you know. I'm here in my capacity as the whistleblower who exposed Lara Taylor-Pearce when it came to her inability to audit the Freetown City Council and Mayor Yvonne Akisoya's Transform Freetown project. I was the whistleblower because even the Office of the President didn't know. Secondly, I'm here, as you rightfully introduced me, as a good governance expert and an observer of corruption in this country and abuse of office for the last 3 decades. Thirdly, I am here as a gender and women's rights activist who has fought for women in this country for their integrity from as high as the first female Chief Justice of Sierra Leone, Honorable Justice Umu Hawa Tijan Jallow. She would tell everybody that the only reason why she succeeded as the first female Chief Justice of Sierra Leone is because she knew that Sylvia Blyden was there to protect her from unwarranted criticisms in the public domain. To people like former cabinet ministers like Honorable Dr. Shali Bujama, to people like the wife of the former Commissioner General, powerful women, to people like the former immigration boss, Gloria Newman-Smart, who was abandoned in this country until I stood up to fight for her. And of course, to thousands of women, ordinary women across Sierra Leone. I believe I am a gender rights activist, and I am in that capacity to defend the integrity of a woman who has served this country for over 3 to 4 decades without blemish. The Honorable Justice Nyawo Maturi Jones, who chaired this tribunal. I'm going to let people know that the tribunal she chaired and the report she produced was excellent, and she's a woman of very high integrity. Finally, I'm here as somebody who wants to be president of Sierra Leone one day, and I would not want an Auditor General to do to me what Lara Taylor-Pearce did to Julius Maada Bio. So I'm here in those capacities. What I am not here as is, one, government spokesman. I'm not here to speak for the government. They can speak for themselves. Secondly, I'm not here as an auditor, or as an expert in auditing. I want the public to be clear in what capacity I am. Okay. So having laid those premises very clearly, your questions can now be...
You say you're not here as an expert of auditing. So if you don't understand what auditing is, rules, regulations, the procedure, the protocol, what yardstick would you use now to judge the work of Lara Taylor-Pearce and her deputy, Tamba Momoh?
Thank you very much. I'm not here to look at Lara Taylor-Pearce's work as an auditor. I'm here to look at how she abused her office that was entrusted to her.
So how would you make that conclusion of abuse, again, in the absence of the knowledge an auditor does?
Let me tell you something. I'm not going to discuss auditing here today. Rest assured on that.
But that's her work. Auditing. It's her work as an auditor that led us to this conversation right now. So we can't take that out of the equation because it's very significant part of the equation.
Maybe to you, but those of us who have read the tribunal report, we know that the report was not about auditing as she has tried to project in the media. The report was about unprofessionalism, abuse of office, and breach of confidentiality.
That was more the reason why I asked the question. Dr. Blyden, quickly. That was more the reason why I asked that you enable the public to understand what's your understanding regarding
Let me now land and tell you a trap that I said over the weekend. I knew that since this whole saga started, we had not seen any evidence to show the breach of confidentiality by Tamba Momoh and Lara Taylor-Pearce of information that came to their way in their capacity as very senior government officials. We saw it in the Africanist press in October, and listen to the dates, October 2021. Africanist press informed us that the office of the president had been caught with fake receipts. That the office of the president had created a fake receipt for a hotel in South Africa, and the hotel in South Africa replied to say, not only is this receipt a fake, but we should take the person who created this receipt to court. Africanist press. But they never showed us those receipts. They never showed us any evidence of correspondence to justify their claims. But they kept on telling us that there's evidence from Lebanon, that the auditors, with confidence. And as we sat up to this weekend, Sierra Leoneans had not seen any evidence to show that Africanist press received information from the audit service of Lara Taylor-Pearce and Tamba Momoh.
So what are you trying to say?
I had to get them to produce that evidence, and thankfully, they did it last night. Exactly what I wanted them to do. I wanted this country to see that when Lara Taylor-Pearce and Tamba Momoh, in their very sacred positions as Auditor General and Deputy Auditor General, came across what appeared to be criminal fake receipts at the office of the president, they took those sensitive documents and leaked them to Africanist press. There was no way for me to prove...
Dr. Blyden, have you evidences?
There was no way for me to prove the breach of confidentiality, because Africanist press would have said they never published the receipts. They would have said we never published any correspondence. But you know what happened last night? All over social media, a program called We Had, they produced the actual email dated October 2021 from Tamba Momoh on behalf of the Audit Service of Sierra Leone to these hotels in Lebanon, to these hotels in... As I said, I'm not here to speak for the government. But what makes it so bad is that according to Lara Taylor-Pearce herself, in a recent epic radio interview that she did, and according to the tribunal report, they never took this information back to the office of the president to say, we have sent this email to South Africa, we have sent this email to Lebanon, and they have debunked that this is a fake receipt. According to them, and according to the tribunal report, the time that Africanist press in October 2021 was publishing this sensitive information about the office of the president and alleged fake receipts and alleged correspondences from South Africa. Even the president, Lara Taylor, and according to Tamba Momoh, and according to the tribunal report,
proof that, yes, it's the email, but what's the proof that it came from Tamba Momoh or Lara Taylor-Pearce to the public?
Because nobody in confidential emails, the emails, in fact, yesterday I was watching, I was just laughing. The emails that were released, the emails that were released were from Tamba Momoh's private email, his private correspondence he sent to these hotels were the ones that, and the thing is, Africanist press was quoting verbatim from what we have now seen as evidence.
Sylvia, if I send you an email, you, the receiver, has the same access to that email as much as I, the sender. So if Samuel, hold on, so if Samuel is to get access to that email, it could either come from me, the sender, it could also come from you, the receiver, or anybody in copy. Think about emails. It differs. It differs.
The emails released yesterday night.
Emails differ from WhatsApp, for example, or WhatsApp chat. With a screenshot, you would know if it was the sender or the receiver based on the positioning of the message. But it's not so with email, so it leaves us with...
It is so with the emails
how
released
have you
yesterday.
arrived at the conclusion that it was Tamba and Lara who leaked that email, not perhaps where they sent it?
I hope you listened to me just now. I really hope you did, because what I said was, even the office of the president, according to them, had not yet seen the denials from these hotels.
But the hotels they sent it to had seen it and replied. That's exactly the point I'm making.
Okay, so basically what
you
are saying... So
how did you conclude that it was the sender and not the receiver that gave access to those emails press. To whoever got access to them?
Now, Africanist press quoted auditors. Africanist press in October 2021 quoted auditors. Africanist press in November 2021 quoted auditors. But my sister to Gambia, to South Africa, to Lebanon. And each of them was quoted verbatim by Africanist press, but they never produced the evidence of the emails or the receipts. And I know why they didn't do it. Because at that time, Lara Taylor-Pearce and Tamba Momoh were working as senior government officials. So that type of serious breach of confidentiality, Africanist press needed to protect their source at that time.
Dr. Blyden, I want to take you back quickly. At some point in time, you mentioned that just yesterday, you saw the receipts on... I
tricked them to do it yesterday. I set the trap.
You set the trap.
They fell into the trap. And they released it yesterday night.
The public will see same to be a hasty conclusion as to the authenticity of what you call a receipt. Every other person, including yourself, have been looking for the past 3 years, Dr. Blyden.
It was released, and we had the opportunity to read them. And when you
so
go
where are
to
these receipts? Are they in those files?
No, they're all over social media this morning. It's all over from yesterday night. There's a program, it's called We Are. They released it there. Now, the article written by Africanist Press in October 2021, which protected Lara Taylor-Pearce and protected Tamba Momoh, because they made sure, they just said auditors, auditors. They didn't show the emails, they didn't show the fake receipts, according to them, allegedly fake receipts. Africanist Press never showed it. Only she had this epic radio interview, and I could see her basically saying almost verbatim what Africanist Press had published in October 2021 and in November 2021. And I knew that, listen, I have to trick this woman to produce these emails, to produce these receipts for the public to know, because she was verbatim saying almost what Africanist Press said in October 2021.
It could be verbatim, but not the same.
I said verbatim. Go and watch. Go and you could actually see it, but I had no way to connect the dots and put it to the public like I am now doing, because it would have been a supposition. Now it's no longer a supposition. The emails are there, the date, the time, the email address. They released it all last night because they wanted to prove that, yes, fake receipts exist. Yes, correspondence exists, not knowing it was a trap I set for them to fall into. And they fell into it big time. So the breach of confidentiality, which you would not expect from a position of an Auditor General and a Deputy Auditor General, is now confirmed.
Dr. Blyden, are you of the notice? Are you of the understanding that...
Sorry to interrupt this. I think we're having some technical issues. We'll just go on a quick break and we'll come back to continue the conversation.
Just so that we remind the public that we do extend an invite to Lara Taylor-Pearce and Tamba Momoh, just so they could, of course, lending the views on the issues being discussed in the program. If similarly, so shared Zoom links on, to them, just so that they could join the conversation. But we are yet to get them to respond. But nonetheless, we still have in the studios Dr. Sylvia Blyden, who is here to, of course, talk on a number of issues, but more specifically, receipts which she says were out overnight, and that has to do with the Africanist reports that is dated some years back. But again, Dr. Blyden, before we go for that break, I had wanted to ask, are you of the knowledge that the reports that led to the suspension of Lara Taylor-Pearce and her deputy were in a stage of it being a draft before even the finalization that led to their suspension, as we speak, Dr. Blyden?
Yes, very much so. 100%, yeah. I'm fully aware of that.
There has been a lot of concerns from the public as to why suspend someone for something that is in the process of it being finalized before even being published, Dr. Blyden.
You see, this is also the mistake that Lara Taylor-Pearce and Tamba Momoh are doing. They are impugning their credibility even more by some of the gimmicks they are doing, by some of what they are saying, like what Lara did on Epic Radio, so unfortunate. She was not suspended because of the audit report that she was preparing. She was suspended because there was a very clear breach of confidentiality. There was a clear abuse of office. It was so glaring that there was this massive leakage of information that had not even been made known to the office of the president.
And what was that information part of?
The ones that just came out last night.
What was it to be a part of? The audit service report?
No, the leakage of receipts, the leakage of correspondence to Africanist press.
So the information she was gathering, she and her deputy and the entire team, what was it for? The audit service report?
Oh, most definitely.
So then how do you dissociate that
I'm not dissociating
from her work with the audit
I am
service?
not dissociating it. You have to understand what I'm saying here. She was not suspended because of the contents of the audit report. She was not suspended because she dared to investigate the office of the president. She was suspended because it is scary to have somebody as high as that position have information surrounding the office of the president appearing direct from your auditors to Africanist press. It means you're not in control of your audit service.
Will you connect?
And you would agree with me that ever since she got suspended, the leakages to Africanist press ended from audit service.
Will you contend public's interest to that of confidentiality?
I have worked at the presidency. As I said when I started off, I want to be president of Sierra Leone. I know what it means to be president. I know what it means to be the head of state. A small aberration around the head of state can throw a whole country into chaos. A head of state falls sick and goes into a coma. If it is that information is not managed properly, it can throw the whole country into chaos. We are not talking about an ordinary citizen. We are talking about the head of state, the supreme executive authority who holds this country together for the period of 5 years that he's in charge. That's a very sensitive position.
But it's not the president that was investigated. It's the office of the president. There are individuals in the office of the president who are not necessarily the president. And the only person immune from investigation is the president. But workers within his office are also liable to be investigated. Or do you disagree to that too?
Well, I am happy you've brought us to an issue that I had wanted to address, and I would want to use the opportunity, the use of your term investigate. You see, investigation of criminal activities is not in the purview of the audit service of Sierra Leone. Investigation of criminal activities is in the purview of the Sierra Leone police. And when it crosses into corruption, it is in the purview of the Anti-Corruption Commission.
How do you arrive at that conclusion? When you earlier submitted, you're not familiar with auditing procedure. So how would you know if part of the auditing report procedure requires investigating some of these issues before putting together a report?
Well, my sister, unlike you, I am very much au fait with the laws of the land, especially the Sierra Leone Constitution. And the Sierra Leone Constitution... I
didn't go off of my opinion. I'm going off of your earlier submission. When you started, you mentioned categorically clear that you're not familiar with auditing. That was your submission, not mine.
And the Sierra Leone Constitution is very, very clear on that. There is only one entity that can investigate criminal activities. And there's only one entity that has the power to push for criminal prosecution. It's the Director of Public Prosecution.
What's the process of putting together the audit service report?
And the Constitution was amended to ensure when it comes to criminal activities around corruption, only the Anti-Corruption Commissioner can do it.
You can't audit without investigating.
What has happened, you see, the use of the word investigation is where I'm
to audit is to look into, and to investigate is to
inquire.
To inquire is just to look into.
To inquire is different. Let me tell you what is confusing a lot of people here. The Auditor General has a role to ensure that when she is presented with the financial statements of all ministries, department, agencies, they say, this is the money we Parliament give. This is how we have spent it. Now, the country doesn't just want to believe these ministries, departments, and agencies. So they appointed somebody who's an Auditor General to go and look at these statements. have these monies been spent according to how Parliament said this money should be spent? That is what the Auditor General does. She audits the financial statements.
And how do you audit without looking into what you may consider red flags as during your process?
You see, you have to be able to know where you don't cross the line so that you do not find yourself in unfamiliar territory.
In this case, what's the line that was crossed?
No, I'm talking about you. You have to be careful so you don't cross the line, so you don't find yourself in unfamiliar territory. Because you keep on pushing that she's auditing, you are not an expert in auditing. I'm not discussing auditing here. I am discussing somebody who was given a very sacred task.
Sylvia,
and the
Dr. Blyden, Lara Taylor-Pearce and Tamba Momoh. Lara was not suspended for not being a good wife to her husband. She was suspended in line of her work as Auditor General. So yes, we cannot take auditing out of this conversation, can we now?
If you are working at AYV, there are certain confidential documents here at AYV. Because you are a professional, you would never leak those documents out. So you don't necessarily, because you are working at AYV, that gives you the leeway to leak documents out. If I am working as a minister, I come across certain confidential documents as a minister that I cannot leak out because it would create scenarios within the populace that might not be good. What you don't want is an Auditor General who becomes weaponized as a political tool that goes to embarrass the head of state and simultaneously protects the opposition Freetown City Council mayor. In the same breath, it's a weaponized Auditor General. You have to be careful to ensure that the way Lara Taylor-Pearce allowed herself to become weaponized, and it comes out in the tribunal report that she was a weapon. She became a weapon.
You said earlier in your submission, your first submission, that you're also an observer of corruption.
Oh, yes, over 30 years.
Let's also speak about the allegation within the office of the president. Doctored receipts. Is that something we should be turning a blind eye to in this conversation?
You see, when I started off, I said I am not here to speak for government, and I don't want anyone to ask me to speak for government. What happened, there are allegations of fake receipts that were forwarded to the Anti-Corruption Commission for the Anti-Corruption Commission to look into. It's not my position to come and speak on behalf of government here. What I am speaking on behalf is on behalf of the people of Sierra Leone to understand that Lara Taylor-Pearce and Tamba Momoh converted themselves to political weapons.
These are all allegations, Dr. Blyden.
No, it's proven. You know, the emails are there now.
Was
the
it
evidence
wrong of
is
them
there
to
now.
go after that, perhaps smoke, for lack of a better way to put it? Was it wrong for the Audit Service Sierra Leone to look into the alleged fake receipts?
You see, I am not an expert in auditing, so I will not know if it is wrong. I will not know if it is right. What I know is that the leakage of those materials from an office as sensitive as the Auditor General's office is scary.
And that's more the reason why
and
earlier on I said you can't be in that capacity.
And secondly, what I also know is that it is scary that the Auditor General could look at something to the tune of billions and billions of leones at the Freetown City Council and refuse to audit those amounts of monies. It is scary.
Dr. Blyden.
So for me, I don't know about auditing, but what I know and what the tribunal has proved is that Lara Taylor-Pearce blocked an audit of the Freetown City Council, and Lara Taylor-Pearce tried to embarrass the office of the president without going back to the office of the president. That is now proven. It's not in dispute. It is proven. She's not even denying it. She's confirmed it.
Dr. Blyden, drawing from your earlier submissions, you said you are not an audit expert.
I have never
and
said
And as such, you don't hold the expertise to determine a receipt that is fake or authentic.
Did I say I do? I don't.
But again, you kept bagging on the fact that overnight you've seen a receipt.
The evidence of breach of confidentiality.
Which
That's
you
what
believe,
I have seen.
Which you
breach
believe
of confidentiality.
It's still an allegation, Dr. Blyden.
It's not. It's all over social media, the emails. Listen,
I am in this
studio now. Tamba Momoh has been given the Zoom link. Lara Taylor-Pearce has been given the Zoom link. Lara Taylor-Pearce was on Epic Radio, and she confirmed everything in Africanist press when she was on Epic Radio. She even went to the extent of verbatim what Africanist press said about the South Africa.
She confirmed that she shared the documents with Africanist press?
No, she confirmed the contents of what Africanist press published in her Epic Radio last week. She confirmed the content verbatim. She sent to South Africa.
Sylvia,
South Africa sent back to say that whoever did this is fraudulent.
This is not the first time we've seen reports from Africanist press that were confirmed just after it was leaked, it was issued out to the public by them, Dr. Blyden. Why in a haste to say same was done by
You see,
Lara Taylor-Pearce,
it's unfortunate you are not listening.
I'm listening.
And let me repeat
I'm a
it.
very good listener,
No, you are
Dr.
not.
Blyden.
Let me repeat myself.
Carry on.
In October of 2021, before the office of the president was even aware that Lara Taylor-Pearce and Tamba Momoh had written to hotels in Lebanon, where the president stayed, hotels in South Africa, where the president stayed, hotels in Gambia, where the president stayed, even before the office of the president was aware. Africanist press was quoting verbatim from the emails sent by Tamba Momoh to these hotels. But we never had the actual emails. We never saw the emails. We never saw the receipts until last night.
Dr. Blyden, but the Africanist press has a history of being a whistleblower. And some of the things they've also brought to the public have not been within the office of the Audit Service Sierra Leone. So how do you now conveniently conclude that that particular one is from Lara Taylor-Pearce and or Tamba Momoh?
Because as I said just now, and I really want you to be listening when I speak, I said Africanist press quoted that what they are saying is from the auditors. Africanist press, it's there in their article.
They said it's from the auditors,
Yeah.
but they did not say they got the information from the auditors.
That was exactly what is in the Africanist press report. You're not listening. Go and read it. October 2021 report, November 2021
So they actually
report.
said the Audit Service Sierra Leone sent them?
Exactly, they quoted verbatim. But we did not see the emails. We did not see the receipts. But go and read the two articles, the October 2021, the November 2021. These were articles which even Lara Taylor-Pearce has now told Epic Radio that they had not even shown the office of the president because she was trying to exonerate herself and blaming her deputy that it was Tamba Momoh who was in charge, and Tamba Momoh is to blame for not taking that information back to the president, back to the office of the president. But at that time, private emails were being quoted by Africanist press. My brother, you don't want somebody like that as Auditor General. It is scary.
But there are categories of information that requires a third-party notice.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking.
Again,
I hope you're not going to try to take me to auditing because I've told you I'm not an auditor.
You can't.
I'm not looking at auditing.
We can't.
I'm looking at abuse of office.
Yes.
I'm looking at breach of confidentiality.
Even as we look at SIM, we can't delve into SIM without touching on.
Well, you can touch on it if you know about auditing. You can teach me.
These are all babies.
Well, teach me about
auditing.
Teach me about auditing. I'm not here to talk about auditing. No. I am here to talk about breach of confidentiality. I am here to talk about abuse of office by refusing to audit Freetown City Council and Mayor Yvonne Akisoya's Transform Freetown projects. I'm here to talk about abusing the sacred duty. I'm not talking about
of office. Dr. Blyden, Lara Taylor-Pearce and her team failing to audit, as you say.
As has been proven.
The mayor of Freetown City Council, how does that constitute to abuse of office?
First of all, let's get this very clear. Lara Taylor-Pearce says her staff that she was leading, they are dishonest, they are liars. To quote her exactly, she said they lied through their teeth at the tribunal against her. Because her staff went to the tribunal and her staff testified under oath. They put their hands on the Bible and they swore under oath that everything that I am going to say here today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Which means that when they testify, if it is proven that they lied, they will be held liable for something called perjury. And perjury, they send you to jail. Sure. Now, she is saying now that her staff who testified, that she blocked them when they wanted to audit Yvonne Akisoya and Freetown City Council. She blocked them. They testified under oath. Those on the Quran, those on the Bible, testified under oath. And the interesting thing is, when they testified, Lara Taylor-Pearce's lawyer cross-examined them under oath, asked them questions under oath. Come on, you said this, answer this, you said this. And they were grilled under oath. All of those witnesses from her office, 7 state witnesses, testified under oath. Lara says they are all liars. They all went there to lie. But here's the interesting thing. If they are liars under oath, what stopped Lara from going under oath and telling the tribunal that these people are liars under oath and get cross-examined under oath? What stopped Tamba Momoh? Because both of them were accused by their own staff that she said, you just produced the program here where she said she led a wonderful staff, professional auditors at the audit service. Now they are no longer professional auditors because they exposed you when you connived to block Yvonne Akisoya from being audited. So now she says they are liars. What stopped Lara Taylor-Pearce from taking the witness stand and telling the tribunal, especially the Honorable Lady Justice Nyawo Maturi-Jones, what stopped Lara Taylor-Pearce from taking the stand and telling Justice Maturi-Jones that, Madam Chair, your Honorable Justice Maturi-Jones of the Supreme Court, because she's a retired Supreme Court judge, what stopped Lara Taylor-Pearce from taking the stand, going under oath like her staff did, and telling Justice Nyawo Maturi-Jones that these staff, they are lying?
Dr. Blyden.
What stopped her? She was there.
Dr. Blyden.
They said it to her face.
Dr. Blyden.
They told her, you blocked us. We wanted to audit Yvonne Akisoya. You blocked us.
Very personal on the mayor and Lara. Why is that the case?
Because you have to understand, if you were following when I became the whistleblower here, you are saying personal. I am looking at it from a professional betrayal of this country by 2 women who ought to know better, and who are now trying to impugn another woman of no blemish, Justice Maturi-Jones, who did that tribunal report. Okay. She served this country as state counsel. Justice Maturi-Jones served as magistrate, high court judge, appeals court judge, Supreme Court judge. She served internationally as an international jurist, and she's never had a blemish to her name. She produces a report, and you are now trying to reduce that woman just because you were caught out as being a woman without integrity. Justice Maturi-Jones has integrity.
Dr. Blyden.
Lara Taylor-Pearce does not have integrity.
Dr. Blyden, we are trying to round off, but as we do, this leads us to a history of Lara Taylor-Pearce's work as Auditor General, how significant it has been, especially in the political landscape, when you go back to campaign season before 2018 election, where President Bio and his team also took bits from her audit reports to show to the people that APC should not be given a chance to govern this country on the history of corruption that the audit service reports over the years can prove. That same Lara Taylor-Pearce's work from the audit service, Sierra Leone, was what predicated the GTT reports that led to the creation of the commissions of inquiry, that led to the scandal of corruption by the Anes Baikoroma-led administration. How do we come now to sit fast forward to her investigation into the current holder of the office, President Julius Maada Bio, and question all the work she had done?
You have to understand something here. Politicians are politicians. Politicians always look for materials to campaign with. And I hope you're not going to rush me because we are supposed to start at 8:30. So let's have some time to, let's talk.
Well, luckily, the producer just notified us that we're going to have to overrun. So we're extending the time.
Most definitely.
Now, politicians are always looking for materials to campaign with. But what I always say is, when we campaign, let's campaign with integrity.
But it's not just
when
politicians.
We campaign,
yourself as well, Dr. Blyden, have been on social media as well against your former boss, President Ernest Bai Koroma, on his corruption issues. And also some of those sources of information had been from the Audit Service report.
I have never used Audit Service to criticize Ernest Bai Koroma. Never. Never. When I criticize Ernest Bai Koroma, I criticize Ernest Bai Koroma on activities that are detrimental to the stability and peace of Sierra Leone, not just corruption. But I don't want to get distracted.
Corruption is included.
I don't want to get distracted here. We are here to discuss tribunal report and Lara Taylor-Pearce. And listen, you want to speak about...
And Lara Taylor-Pearce was the Auditor General for all those previous reports that predicated the GTT setting up commissions of...
Let me just take
You cannot browbeat me here. She has asked me something I want to answer. You want to jump.
Let me allow you to learn. Let me allow you to learn.
Now, Lara Taylor-Pearce was on Epic Radio. She's obviously very comfortable to talk without debating. In other words, when she's alone, she's the only person talking. Because when you told me that she would be on the program, you sent a Zoom link to her, I was so happy. But it's like she seems to be comfortable when she's the only one speaking. And when she was on Epic Radio, speaking about her history that's my dear Phoebe has so eloquently elucidated here, she jumped over a part of it, which was how she got to be appointed. She went over that part fast. Well, let me tell you today how she got appointed. One of the mentors of Ernest Bai Koroma, who Ernest Bai Koroma always says was his best school teacher who mentored him, is the father-in-law of Lara Taylor-Pearce. Lara Taylor-Pearce never went for an interview that was...
Why would you want to look into same?
No, because you have given us a history. She's also given us a history about how she got appointed. I am telling you now how she got appointed. It was favoritism.
So you mean she wasn't qualified?
No, she was adequately qualified, like many other Sierra Leoneans who are also auditors, like all the other deputy auditor generals. But she was chosen out of favoritism by Ernest Bai Koroma because she's the daughter-in-law of his mentee.
Yes, she did a work that was very detrimental to Ernest Bai Koroma's legacy.
That is what...
Could you not attribute that to professionalism?
That is what you are saying, but I can tell you, and
that's what the GTT report puts out.
You know. Can I speak?
Quickly.
I have studied audit reports in this country for the last 15 years. And I can tell you that Lara Taylor-Pearce protected Ernest Bai Koroma as a person. Go and look at all the reports she did for Office of the President when Ernest Bai Koroma was president. She protected him. I challenge her on that. Let her come and tell me she did not protect him. She protected Ernest Bai Koroma throughout. The kind of molestation that she subjected Julius Maada Bio to, she never, even 5% to Ernest Bai Koroma. The one time was just before the 2012 elections when she released the 2011 audit report. And there was something there slightly embarrassing to Ernest Bai Koroma, where his state chief of protocol said when they go to the provinces, they don't do retirement of impress because of the way Ernest Bai Koroma gives out monies to women's groups, students, and things. That's the worst she ever did. Go and check all the other audit reports and see if she went into Ernest Bai Koroma's office in the way she went after Julius Maada Bio. Go and look at you're asking about comparison. You brought comparison here. You brought comparison. Go and compare whether she ever audited Sianyama Koroma in the way she audited Fatima Maada Bio.
But I'd wanted to read verbatim, yeah? Let me just take paragraph 29 of page 111 of the GTT reports. Which
I'm not talking. I'm going to refuse for you to distract me. We're not here to talk about GTT reports.
I'm not distracting you. We are not
here to talk about it. I'm telling you the comparison between the two.
You are looking into our work, Dr. Blyden.
Okay, do it fast.
Verbatim it reads.
We're not here for GTT. I don't want to be distracted.
The audit Sierra Leone is probably Sierra Leone's most effective institution. It is led by the Auditor General, the dynamic Lara Taylor-Pearce, and 10 deputy Auditor Generals responsible for different sets of ministries, departments, and agencies. This is ipsissima verba, as it was
What's your point?
stated.
What's your point? Make it.
This is coming from the people
I am
that you
not
said.
here to speak for government.
She bastardized Dr. Blyden.
I'm not here to speak of. Listen, let's get something clear. I'm not speaking for government. I am speaking as a Sierra Leonean citizen who does not like what Lara Taylor-Pearce has done by allowing herself to be weaponized to go after political opponents and protect political allies. That's what I'm here for. What is in GTT report? Don't distract me. I'm not interested in it. You have spoken about comparison, and I have told you that the way Lara Taylor-Pearce went after Julius Maada Bio and Fatima Maada Bio, she never, ever went after Anesbai Koroma and Sianyama Koroma in the same way. And when you do comparisons that I have done, because I wrote a letter to the Anti-Corruption Commission asking for a comparison between Sianyama Koroma's traveling expenses and Fatima Maada Bio's traveling expenses. And you'll be surprised to know that Sianyama Koroma has taken the largest amount of money as when she was First Lady. She took $50,000 on one trip in January 2016. Now, these comparisons show you that what you are claiming that Lara did a balanced job is not true.
What the GTT claimed, not I claimed.
No, Madam Phoebe was claiming that. That's why I don't want to discuss GTT because I'm not government.
Dr. Blyden,
I am now speaking here clearly. And I am sending you, go and check the audit reports when Anesbai Koroma was president. Lara Taylor-Pearce was appointed by Anesbai Koroma due to favoritism. Read my lips. Favoritism.
Dr.
She's
Blyden,
the daughter-in-law of his school mentee.
Dr. Blyden,
yes.
We just want to remind the public that we do extend an invite to Lara Taylor-Pearce and, of course, Deputy who is Tamba Momoh, just so they could be a part of the program. But again, we've had a lot of messages on our Facebook page. It's time we allow our audience from that end to share their thoughts into the program this morning. First, from my end, is from Victor Akumengot, who says, auditing is done by a team of professionals. The information at the center of this course, was it only available to the Auditor General and her deputy? He's asking a question. Fabian.
Swissman says, Sylvia Blyden, I believe that the investigation of Taylor-Pearce is politically motivated, and the investigation didn't go through due process. When you look at the starting of the investigation, you will know that the government was planning to get Madam Taylor-Pearce out of the way because Madam Pearce is serving the country faithfully. As a matter of fact, if we are to investigate corrupt people who investigated and charged to court, the head of anti-corruption is not working accordingly, but he had never been suspended. Why Taylor-Pearce should be dismissed suddenly?
Abu Bakar Conte says, you can clearly see that Sylvia is fighting a personal fight against Lara and Mayo.
Amadou Wurijalo says, Lara will not come to the discussion. What I see Sylvia doing is more of personal than the issue at hand.
Vicky V.S. Kalon says, the African Express is operated by an APC sympathizer.
Uncle Sule says, I'll skip that message.
This one says, it's from, okay, Alusine Conte says, Sylvia, you're here demonizing someone who performed her duty in line with her mandate. At the same time, you want to make another woman good.
Lamin Denke says, Madam, it was the people's money and it's our right to know.
Okay. Fabian,
Eeps Banks says, AYV una for don't get a specialist auditor for come na the office.
Continue.
Okay. Uncle Sule says the Auditor General documents should never be confidential because she was working for the people of Sierra Leone and we have the right to know everything the President is doing with our money. These money President Biyu is spending is not his money. It's the people's money. Why should it be confidential? And Africanist Press is run by a Sierra Leonean. Don't Sylvia think it's the right for them to have the information if it is not fraud?
Junior Shua says...
You've read so many. Maybe we can take a break. I answer some of them because it's
okay.
so
Hold on,
many.
Sylvia. Let's run it by our own template.
So now, now
so
this one is from Junior Shua says, Miss Lara, again, as a citizen of Sierra Leone, should have come forward to counter the allegations, especially to ask to give our own side of the story of a story to the tribunal.
Hasking D. Seeker says, if I were Lara Pierce, I will never join the group link. How can I waste my time on someone who... I'll skip that.
Showers also says, when there is a red flag, you notify the necessary authorities that's responsible for investigating crimes. I am in this case, a police.
Mosdi says, now I have finally understood SOB's point. We all remember her grievances with the Freetown City Mayor, and now she's dragging her into this conversation tactically.
Mohamed Jabi says, thanks, Sylvia. That's what activists should do. People like to use people. That's what is going on. You can't use government institution for your political ambition.
Mohammed B. Kamara says, good to know. Doctor, you're on point. She's acknowledged her office but failed the people of Sierra Leone, Lara.
Uncle Sole says, this staff that testified are now running the Anti-Corruption Commission. We are Sierra Leoneans and we know the scrambling for job. Josiah says, it is not the same justice that was in office that ruled that the vice president should be removed.
No.
Bulldozer Dabo Senior says, absolutely correct, Dr. Sylvia Blyden. You've said it all. Okay, and...
interesting one from Victor Fode. He says, this Blyden woman is the most dishonest person in the country. She always thinks whatever she says is the gospel truth.
Is that what makes someone dishonest? Please don't read out things like those. Is that what makes someone dishonest?
From
you just want to insult me. Is that something that makes someone dishonest?
The Africanist Press.
Because the person believes in what they're saying.
Dr. Blyden, just a minute.
No. I mean, you ought to know better than that. Honestly, you cannot read out a text like that. You should know better than that. Please. You cannot. You read out the most dishonest woman
Dr. Blyden,
but that gives you an opportunity to respond to that.
This is on a public domain, Dr. Blyden.
Finally,
it's on a public domain, Dr. Blyden.
My final pick for now is from Vicky V.S. Kalon, who says,
please calm down.
You should know what you read.
Dr.
Blyden, calm down, please.
Yeah, what you expected is not folding out as you expected it. I'm debunking all your points. And
Dr.
you're not
Blyden,
comfortable.
just a minute. You would respond
most dishonest woman.
You would respond
read the text like that.
all those messages in a
you
bit.
don't. No, let him not read the text like that.
You'll have the opportunity to respond, Dr. Blyden.
Just a minute.
You'll have the opportunity.
No, don't do it. Don't do it.
I
don't have anything personal with you, so don't do it.
You'll have the opportunity, Dr.
Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm telling you, I'm very serious. Don't do it.
You'll have the opportunity to respond, Dr. Blyden.
Okay?
Yes, Fabian. Continue, Fabian.
Vicky V.S. Kalon
says, I'll tell you something, you'll be very upset with me.
The Africanist Press is operated by an APC sympathizer.
I think I've read that one.
You've read that
you
one.
Can respond
now,
to
quickly,
the
this one is Haxon the Seeker. It says, investigate is synonymous to audits. Doctor did not even aware of it. How can you convince us now? So, Dr. Blyden, you will respond to the number of messages that we just read out.
First of all, I said it since I came to this studio. I'm not here to discuss auditing methods. I'm not here to discuss auditing standards. I'm not an auditor. I'm here to discuss unprofessionalism, breach of confidentiality, abuse of authority. That's what I'm here to discuss. I'm not here to discuss auditing. It's not my business. I'm not an auditor. Secondly, indeed, Lara Taylor-Pearce should have taken the stand if she is indeed possesses the integrity levels expected of an auditor general. I was outside of this country when I was summoned to the Commission of Inquiry. And you keep in mind that when I was sacked as minister, it was amidst the blow of alleged 6 billion leones not missing in the Ministry of Social Welfare. And when I was summoned to the Commission of Inquiry that was formed out of the GTT report, I flew from overseas. I came here. I defended myself, and I came out clean from the Commission of Inquiry, 100% clean. I'm one of the few people who came out with 100% clean, no corruption to my name, because I have integrity. When you believe yourself, when you have integrity, when you are a woman of integrity, and they accuse you to your face, like Lara Taylor-Pearce was accused to her face by her own staff. Her own staff said to the Commission of Inquiry, this woman and this man, that is the deputy Tamba Momoh, they blocked us when we wanted to audit the Freetown City Council, Mayor Ivonaki Sawyer's Transform Freetown project. If Lara Taylor-Pearce indeed has the required level of integrity for an auditor general, she should have taken the stand, and she should have spoken to the woman who was in charge, Justice Nyawo Matiri-Jones, and said to her under oath, these my staff who have testified to you that I blocked an audit, they are lying. Then Justice Matiri-Jones would have put it down because she said it under oath. But as Justice Matiri-Jones said in her report, this evidence by Lara Taylor-Pearce's own staff, 4 professional auditors, ACCA auditors, professionals, some of them with over 20 years of experience as auditors, they took the stand. And Justice Matiri-Jones said they were cross-examined, but no evidence was brought to debunk what they said. Uncontroverted evidence. Why did Lara Taylor-Pearce not take the stand and tell Justice Matiri-Jones that these my staff, they are all liars? The answer is simple. She did not want to be cross-examined. She does not want to be cross-examined because her lawyers cross-examined all her former staff, and she knew that when she takes the stand, the state's lawyers will cross-examine her. She did not want to be cross-examined. Why? It shows a lack of integrity. And somebody who should be Auditor General should have integrity. That is to answer the second question. The third question about Francis Benkai-Fala at the Anti-Corruption Commission. Believe you me, Francis Benkai-Fala is someone I refer to as my small brother. But the day that he would leak information in the way Lara Taylor-Pearce and Tamba Momoh leaked information to Africanist Press is the day that I would publicly denounce Francis Benkai-Fala. I have never seen any such... You know, people need to understand the seriousness of these leaks. And this takes me now to the next question. They say it is our money, we need to know. Of course, it is our money, we need to know. But in the middle of an investigation of any sort, whether it is audit, whether it is criminal, whether it is corruption, in the middle of an investigation of any sort, counter information can come in that would neutralize whatever you have received. If you receive information from one source that is so damning, and you leak it to the media to embarrass the president, what if later another information comes in that neutralizes that damning information? This is where breach of confidentiality comes in. It is not that we don't want to know what happened to our money. Yes, we want to know what happened to our money. But we cannot have half of the information being leaked, and being leaked without even the president or the office of the president aware that this information has been leaked. That is the issue. And indeed what happened, when they wrote to one of the hotels, I think the one in Lebanon, they engaged someone who was the finance officer, and that finance officer replied to Tamba Momoh. That information was leaked, was all out yesterday. And subsequent to that, the chairman, who is more senior than the finance director, writes to say this is an embarrassment. This is not correct. So that shows you that what was leaked in an untimely manner. If it had been put into the final audit report, then we can all discuss it. But to leak enough information for embarrass the office of the president, me know they talk for Julius Madabio, but me they talk for myself. If I be president tomorrow, let person not do me so. Let person not embarrass me so. Let person not protect me opposition, like how them protect the mayor of Freetown. Then if they come after me, if they come after me wife, if they molest them with half enough information. That's what I would not want to happen to me. Secondly, you say personal fight, personal fight. I don't tire for you either the personal fight. And it doesn't bother me. Because everything I have said here today, I have not spoken about the personal life of Lara Taylor-Pearce. I have not spoken about the personal life of the mayor of Freetown. All I am talking about here are professional issues to do with Tiffy Jankoliko. That's what I'm discussing here. Tiffy Jankoliko. Then thief, then koba. Then thief, then koba. I tifia, I koba ya. I hide ya, I tifia, then hide them. That's what I'm discussing here. I've not said anything about Yvonne Akisoya's personal life. I've not said anything about Lara Taylor-Pearce's personal life. I'm saying she had a duty and she had the powers under the law to ensure she audits the Transform Freetown project, and she refused to audit it. She also had a duty to go back to the office of the president with whatever reply she got from these hotels, she and Tamba Momoh, and say, this is your receipt you gave to us. The hotel has replied that this is a fake receipt. They never did that. They took it, sent it to Africanist press to embarrass the presidency. That's not what somebody who has integrity does. The next question, you say, I'm demonizing someone to protect Justice Nyawu Matiri-Jones. I want that person to go and read Justice Matiri-Jones's report. Go and read that woman's report. You would feel sorry to see most people who have not read the report going after that woman. And the thing about this woman is, this is somebody I have known for over 20 years, Justice Matiri-Jones. When I say integrity, she has integrity. It pains me when I see someone like her with so much integrity, because this is someone I know personally. It pains me when I see someone that I know has so much integrity being demonized by people who have not even read the report. Go and read the report and you would know why I'm sitting here to defend the Honorable Justice Matiri-Jones. She does not deserve the way she's been demonized. Again, for the issue of audit, I'm not an auditor. I cannot answer audit issues because I'm not an auditor. Questions then so forth.
We're trying to round off.
You say I'm dragging the Freetown City mayor into the issues. I want that person to go and read the tribunal report. The tribunal report is about the Freetown City Council, the mayor of Freetown. And the last page of the tribunal report, signed by all members of the tribunal, says that the Anti-Corruption Commission should investigate the Auditor General. I want that person who wrote this, that I'm dragging the FCC mayor, go and read the report, the last page of a report that was signed by Justice Jones, a woman of the highest integrity possible, and 2 other members of the commission who I believe are also people with integrity. They say that Lara Taylor-Pearce should not only be sacked, but she should be taken to the Anti-Corruption Commission to be investigated for refusing to blocking the audit of the Freetown City Council mayor. Now, they say the other question about the staff who testified. They are now running the Audit Service Commission. Lara says all of them are liars. She said they lied through their teeth against her. But it's the same woman who told us that these people are all professionals under her. So all of a sudden now, 7 professionals are all 7 liars. So I don't know about that person, but to me, with my own common sense, those 7 people took the stand under oath. They swore on the Quran. They swore on the Bible. They took the stand under oath. And they spoke in the presence of Lara Taylor-Pearce. She was there. They pointed at her. They said, this woman, she blocked us when we wanted to audit the Freetown City Council. Lara, Yang in not talk. Yang in not deny. Now she's all over the place denying. Who has more integrity? The staff who took the stand, pointed at her, at the tribunal, and said this is what she did, or Lara, who refused to take the stand and is now saying that the staff she used to praise as professionals are now liars. I think I'll go with the 7 professional witnesses, the 7 witnesses. Now, I would ignore the aspect of you referring to me as the most dishonest woman in Sierra Leone. I think that is very abusive, it's very insulting, and I would appeal to you to try to make your guests feel comfortable. Referring to me as the most dishonest woman is extremely insulting, and I would just ignore that one. So on that note,
just a quick clarification. He didn't refer to you as that. He read a message that was submitted on the platform.
So, Dr. Blyden, I have read the reports from Lara Taylor-Pearce. I have read her response, and I've read her response, and I've read the response of the lawyer, of course, Roland Wright. And
I've not seen that one. Her lawyer has responded.
Dr. Blyden, in all of what came out from the tribunal, she has denied all of what was said in the tribunal, and she said it's an act of deceit, it doesn't represent what's occurred during the tribunal, and what have you, Dr. Blyden. Where do you see a missing link with the report she recently issued out, and that of what you really mentioned just now, that she will have had the opportunity at that moment to have responded to say A, B, C, D, and E? Where is the missing link in all of us, what we're talking about, Dr. Blyden?
The missing link is simple. She refused to take the stand. I made a sit down. My staff, they point for me. Na kotos, they lie for me. Na kotos. I sit down, I smile, I fool me, I watch her. The way they don't judge me down, I begin to holler now on all the radio station, they write. Me? No way. My integrity levels are too high. You lie for me immediately, right there and then. I want to take the stand. Let it go on record that this statement is a lie. She was there, tell the tribunal, and God showed it. Now he said, talk back on Epic Radio. He said every single hearing, he said past 1 grain in July 2022, if I remember her word. He said she was present throughout the entire hearing. You just sit down and they lie for you. Take the case done, you fold your hand. You not tender one evidence for counter the lies. When Justice Nyawo Jones don't produce in reports now, you want dirty the mommy name? No, some of us will not take it. Some of us are real gender activists. That woman has worked for her name. She's worked for her reputation. Justice Nyawo Jones is one of our best that we can. She's also the chancellor of the University of Cornell. She's not a small woman. She's not a cheap woman. Justice Nyawo Jones is a woman of stature, a Cornell woman of pride, a woman who the people of Cornell look up to as a source of pride. Now you just come because you refuse for take the stand. You refuse for defend yourself. That's the missing link. If she had taken the stand, maybe Justice Nyawo Jones's report might have been different. But she left that woman with no alternative but to believe what was said convincingly on the stand, on the witness stand, under oath. But person they put your hand in Quran, he swear to the Quran. Other person put your hand in the Bible, he swear to the Bible. He say everything what they can talk now about Lara Taylor-Pearce is not true. He talk him to your face. You not deny. When they find you guilty now, they say for sack you. You know, the level of the lack of integrity of this woman is amazing. She's just justifying that now favoritism and Esbaikoma used for Putayanda. The integrity levels are low. People really need to look at it. Her integrity levels are low, very, very low. A woman like that has no business being an auditor general.
And I'll read out one message that came in from a colleague journalist, Melvin Tijan Mansai. He's asking, he says, Phoebe, if Dr. Blyden described herself as an observer of corruption, is she arguing for alleged corruption in the guise of breach of confidentiality? Has she been able to verify that the fake receipt claim is untrue? Is she disputing AP's report? She's, yes, that's from Melvin.
I think I already answered that question by Melvin, but let me go over it again. I'm not here to speak for the government. I'm not the government spokesperson. The government can speak for itself. But what I do know is that what was tendered at the tribunal was a debunking of every single one of those allegations by the source, that is the hotels, superior to those who were initially contacted behind the president's back. And my people, let's also imagine here, going behind somebody's back to ask for their medical records, whether they paid their medical bills, going behind somebody's back. I don't have to like the president to feel sorry for him. I don't want to be sick and somebody goes behind my back to ask about my medical bills at the hospital. I'm very uncomfortable with that whole shenanigans. I would have preferred that if you have problems with the hospital receipts or the hospital bills, you tell them at the office of the president that I have a problem with this receipt. And I'm going to put it in, because, you know, I have been a minister, and I know how auditing works. You come to the head of whoever is the head of admin, and they have what they call the management letter. And you put it in the management letter that this receipt, I am suspicious of this receipt, and I'm going to write it in the audit final draft that this receipt you presented is suspicious, so I have rejected it. Now, she goes a step further behind the auditor's back to go check if the receipt is correct or not. I'm not an auditor. I don't know auditing compliance. So I will not comment on that. But what worries me, what gets me uncomfortable, is going behind the president's back to check at the hospital where I was admitted. I feel so uncomfortable with that.
Dr. Blyden, you've submitted that you are an aspiring presidential candidate.
And that's one of the reasons why I'm here.
You said you'd want to be president of
I don't want to be president. My auditor general
so the question
does this
to
me.
this now is this you who has an ambition for the presidency, using such cases to sort of prepare a pathway so if you ever become president of Sierra Leone, your office would go unchecked?
No.
Are you clearing the way for an unchecked presidency?
No, on the contrary. In fact, if you look at the records, in 2021, when they started to go after Lara Taylor-Pearce, before she started to show her true colors, go and look at my articles. Go check my Twitter, go check my Facebook. I was the biggest defender of Lara Taylor-Pearce. The records are there. In January, February 2021 until March, I fought with Global Times. Sorry Fofana of Global Times. He would attack Lara, I would defend Lara in Awareness Times. And I would not only defend Lara in Awareness Times, I would defend Lara Taylor-Pearce on my Twitter, I would defend Lara Taylor-Pearce on my Facebook page. Because at that point, I had no reason to doubt her integrity. When the evidence now came for, and this is a fact, you go check. I can produce it for anyone to see. Check my Twitter, check my Facebook, check Awareness Times. I was fighting with Sorry Fofana to defend and protect Lara Taylor-Pearce until Sorry Fofana had to back down, because I was too strong in defending Lara Taylor-Pearce. But when I saw, it was now too glaring. It was too much. The breach of confidentiality, the abuse of office, it was too much. I could no longer defend such a woman.
It is then on that note that will ask you to, of course, you've shared several submissions on the issue, but it's then on that note that will ask you to talk to the camera and tell the public, tell the people of this country, what's your stance as it relates to the issue under discussion?
My stance is simple. Lara Taylor-Pearce had an opportunity to speak to this nation under oath. She had an opportunity to do what her staff did, which is take the witness stand, put your hand on the Holy Bible, swear under oath that everything you are going to say to Justice Matthew Jones is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and then speak to this country. She might have convinced Justice Matthew Jones, but she never did. And that shows an inability to defend herself when she was faced with those facts that her staff put against her at the tribunal. And when you look at what happened last night, because as I said to this program when it started, I deliberately laid the trap because I wanted Tamba Momoh to leak his emails. I wanted him to put the emails for the public to see the emails. And for them to look at the dates, because the dates of the email is so critical. You see that immediately he got the emails, he sent them to Africanist Press. Because Africanist Press published it almost verbatim immediately after he received the emails. That is not somebody I want. That's not somebody this country needs as a Deputy Auditor General. And for Lara Taylor-Pearce to be the one in oversight of so many of these activities, including blocking her staff from auditing a critical council like City Council, where hundreds of billions of leones, as I speak, still lie unaudited. I repeat, at the Freetown City Council, because, you know, I said I'm not a government spokesman, and let me say it again here. This government, when it comes to managing the Freetown City Council, this government is a disgrace. The Minister of Local Government, he does not know his left from his right. He doesn't know his job. So the Office of the President, they are also very confused. They don't know what to do. So I cannot be a government spokesman when it comes to discussing these issues. Because as far as I'm concerned, this government's handling of this whole Freetown City Council and Lara Taylor-Pearce issue, it was very, very muddy, messy, and just so contemptible of themselves. They delayed, they could not articulate the issues, and that's why a lot of people might think that I'm speaking for government. No, 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 no. I have no respect for how this government has handled the audit of Freetown City Council. I have no respect for how this government has handled the corruption, ingrained corruption at the Freetown City Council. So I cannot speak for this government. As far as I'm concerned, they don't know their left from their right, especially their Minister of Local Government. They don't know what they can say.
Okay, thank you so very much, Dr. Sylvia Blyden. It's been a pleasure having you in the studios this morning.